the next year. But back to the southwest and to Clonakilty, George Lee has been looking at the figures and I've been sussing out the reality on the ground.
The southwest of Ireland has many attractions, but money isn't one of them. Household income is almost 10% below the national average. 670,000 people live here, up 13% in a decade. More than a third are over the age of 65. The same amount live in rural areas. 85% voted in the last election. They've had a very tough time on jobs. There were 317,400 jobs before the crash. 50,000 jobs were lost by 2011. Only 8,500 have been added since then. The new total is 275,000, but that's still 13% off the peak. 10,000 work in community employment, JobsBridge and other state schemes. 6,000 get family income supplement, up 87% since 2007. Emigration is high, but unemployment is stubborn. Having been below 21,000 in 2007, the jobless total tripled over 3 years to a peak of 64,000. It's now down to 45,000 people, but that still leaves 13.5% on the dole, significantly above the national average. 11,000 receive rent supplement, 900 get mortgage supplement. So despite all of its beauty, this is one region that is desperate for a break.
They call it Clonakilty Valley, and workers here don't drink any old coffee.
Espressos, cortados, macchiatos, flat whites, cappuccinos, Americanos, whatever they like.
Lack of broadband meant this technology park was a pipe dream a generation ago, but the people of Clon are a dogged lot.
By getting this fibre optic cable buried, it was extended from Cork City down to the actual gates of the technology park, and it doesn't go any further. And, you know, there's 1,000 people coming through the gates of the technology park every morning, working in really high-skilled jobs, from sustainable energy, software development, there's enterprise information systems, web meeting technology. It's incredible.
At Global Shares, it's all about expansion. With help from the government, they've added 80 new jobs. Staff, many from overseas, are a source of cash and vibrancy in the local community.
Everyone's really kind, and they make me feel at home, especially going around the street and everyone's like, hey, like I know my neighbours.
It's good crack here and in Portugal, same level of crack, I'd say.
Clon would be one of the places that I would think about having children, family, because it's quiet enough and it's safe.
You can really see the colour, the balayage coming through a bit more as well when you do a little bit of wave in it, you know.
Downtown, Jagged Edge Hair Salon knows all about cuts, but their business now is seeing a definite bounce.
We're seeing clients more often. Before they would be every 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Now we could see 4 or 5 weeks. And we're seeing people coming in more regular for just blow dries.
So confident are Dennis and his partner, they've taken this brave new step into their future.
We've bought an old pub. It's a corner building. It's on 3 floors. And we're going to move the salon in there hopefully next year.
Oh, work away.
Meet local fashionistas Katie and Hilary. Their sense of timing is as impeccable as their sense of style.
Do you want to try a necklace with this? Yeah.
I'd never normally use this.
Beautiful on you. It's stuck there now.
They knew the economic tide was turning when they set up shop 1 year ago. They haven't looked back.
Yeah, I know it's been amazing. One of the best years of our lives. It's just been busy the minute we open the doors. It's just been constant flow of people with the business park out the road, which really helps business for us. And the whole town has just been so supportive.
When we first started, we thought it would be maybe, 26 to 45, but we've got girls coming in for Deb's dresses, and then we've got, women in their 60s coming in for jackets, for scarves.
Box of fish through there,
Yeah, good man.
Offshore and on, the natural bounty around these parts has always made Clon a gourmet's paradise.
Oh, he's a whopper, isn't he?
But renowned chef Richie had to innovate during the recession with takeout pizza and a new cafe.
We're going to check the seasoning in a second.
But fine dining is back, and Richie is cooking up a storm once again.
But that is a lovely lunch dish. Fillets of beef, T-bones, scallops, premium fish like John Dory's. They went off the menus, and now they're back on the menus, and they're selling in full force.
Clonakilty, it seems, has weathered the economic storm and emerged stronger than ever. Well, let's have a chat now with Eugene Scally. He's the owner of the local Super Value, and Jim Costello, who's chair of Southwestern Services. Thanks for joining us on the programme, gentlemen. We saw Eugene there first. We saw Richie, the local restaurateur, absolutely spoiled for choice in terms of local produce.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, you're here in Clonakilty, right in the heart of there's some fantastic food producers around the area. And last year our company spent over 2 million helping to sustain over 800 jobs in the community, something that we're very proud of. And out of that we would have about 50 artisan food producers. Now, these are the real people that are producing real food locally in our community.
And I saw some of the products in your supermarket today, a fantastic range of products.
Absolutely delighted to be able to support the artisan producer because I know here in the community we have the consumer that has the confidence in the local producer, and I'm delighted to have my hands in the middle of it, deeply rooted with the producer and the consumer. It's a good situation for us all to find ourselves in. Last year we met Claire Daly out in Union Hall, who came in with hummus one day to the shop. I thought a fantastic product, and again today I showed you she has 6 different varieties of hummus on the shelf. It's important to the small producer that when they come in with their product to get their money on the day, a lot of those people are depending on.
And how do those small artisan producers fare over the recession?
Well, I mean, they would have obviously they would have found it tough during the time. But again, like, it was very important that we would support, and when I say support, when they come in with their product, that we would pay them for the product on the day, and that we wouldn't be messing around with them when they come back the next day, giving them back food and returns. So we would have worked very closely with the food producer, and we would have encouraged then the product in store through in-store tastings, and we got the consumer confidence behind the product. So I would say to the producer, let you do what you're good at, is produce a good food locally, and I can assure you that we have the consumer that has the confidence in your product.
I suppose it's a mutually beneficial relationship. You support all these small producers, and they then support you, the community support.
Well, I think it's very important for me as a Super Value retailer in the community that I support the small producer. I think that it has always been a very strong ethos in my business to support the small local producer, because I mean they're producing great food, and we're lucky to have them.
It might be claimed that you're at an unfair disadvantage, though. You're on the coast, you're in the middle of dairy heartland here. Could that example be emulated, say, in the Midlands or anywhere else in the country?
Well, it might be a little bit more difficult to get the people into that positive mode of thinking about food in the Midlands, because I grew up in the Midlands myself, and I remember as a small child how important it was, how important food production was to rearing a family in Kilbeggan. But I think it's a different attitude to food. West Cork is, the people's attitude in West Cork is positive, it's focused, and they're delighted. And you know, when you're producing the small and the good food locally and the consumer is behind it, it's a big plus.
Speaking of positive attitude, can-do attitude, Jim, nowhere was that more evident than in the building of this technology park, and you were one of the anchor tenants in there all those years ago.
That's right, yeah. The technology park was built out of a greenfield site 15 years ago, at a time when there was a technology bubble. So not everything worked out exactly right at the start, but it went on to be a huge success. There's now 1,000 people employed there.
And it was an ambitious project, because it was a case of build and they will come.
Well, absolutely ambitious. A huge can-do attitude by a task force that was put out at that time. They needed to be creative. They had a vision for creating jobs in the area. They had to be creative to find the resources to get those jobs, but there were no barriers that couldn't be got over.
Give us an idea of the breadth, the scope of that collaborative effort.
Well, for example, we worked with the universities in the technologies companies or Institute of Technologies to provide training. The universities provide vision in terms of what businesses to go after. The county councils helped on the money side. The West Cork Development Partnership. There were so many telco companies in terms of providing broadband. There were so many.
That must have been the biggest challenge, was it? Broadband, getting that cable out.
Well, it was one of the bigger challenges, because we had to attract the best of the best. We had to attract multinational companies and ambitious indigenous companies, so they needed full resilience in broadband and those types of things.
And again, that same question I put to Eugene, for other towns, if they were looking to follow the example of Clonakilty, what's the advice? Because some of the towns that we visited for this series, they have little or no broadband. What company is going to want to set up in a town like that, no matter how wonderful the community, the people are?
Well, it starts with that vision, and the vision in terms of creating jobs and creating an atmosphere of positive atmosphere, like Eugene talked about, and to collaborate with universities, with local colleges, to see what businesses to go after. Don't invest in the wrong business, and go after the ones that will work in the area, and then go after, find the resources, whether it's European funding or wherever you can get it, and go after it, make it happen.
Well, on that positive note, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on 6-1 this evening. That's it. Tomorrow we are in County Galway, where the picture isn't as rosy. Right now it's back to you in studio, Brian.
Thank you, Sharon. Bank of Ireland.